welcome back to Movement Monday. Sorry I've been away for a couple of weeks, but between Hurricane Michael and our newest edition, I've had to focus on some other challenges, but welcome back. So in this episode, we'll focus on one of the biggest questions for somebody that's in pain, especially for the active person. And that question is it safe to exercise, and what exercises can I do? So as a physio and a strength coach, I look at really three different kinds of people that are asking this question. The first is a person with a fresh, first-time injury, and maybe with an ankle that looks like this. In this person's case, we want to cool things off, literally. We want to follow the Rice principle of rest, ice, compression, and elevation. But you have to use your best judgment because some people can't tolerate cold or compression, and some people will need emergency cares. As far as exercises go, this person will want to start very early with some gentle movement of their injured area. Take, for instance, that ankle. This is going to first do a couple things. First, it's going to begin to help flush out the gunk the body produces in an injury and reduce swelling and eventually pain, and will jumpstart the healing process. Second, when we have an injury, our brains begin to rewire not only how we move. Think of the time when you stubbed your toe and you limped around for a little while before your body finally figured out that you didn't break it, and then you walk normal again. Soon after an injury, we already start to see changes on an MRI of the brain about that area, and early movement helps fix those changes. This early movement can even prevent pain from progressing to the chronic stage. When getting back to exercise, this person does not want to just go back to what they were doing before. You want to find out why the injury occurred. Was there something in your training that led to the injury? Something missing in your mobility? Or were you weak somewhere? How would you know? Do you have a system for testing where you're missing mobility or stability? The second person is maybe 5 or 6 weeks out from an injury, and they were wanting to get back into the gym, but were concerned about messing things up again. Should you go back to the weights you were doing before, running the same distance, or doing anything coming anywhere close to your personal record? When things fired up, should they use ice, heat? Should they foam roll? Should they use a lacrosse ball or two? And where? At 5 to 6 weeks out from most injuries except surgeries, most exercises are fair game. The key is to begin to relay or even improve the foundation that you had before the injury. And if possible, fix the areas where you were lacking stability or mobility, because some injuries are a result of missing one or both of those elements. Let's take, for example, the low back, which thrives on the muscles around it providing stability. Now, we're not saying that people get injured low backs because they have a weak core. Most of your science on that doesn't really support it. What we want to look at is training those muscles in their main function. And no, that's not doing 1,000 crunches or side bends. We want to start with their real purpose being anti-extension or preventing a back bend, anti-flexion or preventing you from bending forward, or anti-rotation. From there, we want to challenge it in a variety of positions of varying stability and whether or not that is in kneeling or on one leg.
For the anti-rotation press, take a band, attach it to a door or a wall, and press out in front of it. Hold there and repeat.
Into a more functional or sport-specific position that forces your body into stability without compromising your safety.
Make the anti-rotation press harder by coming down into a lunge, and then the single arm, single leg with a press overhead with a kettlebell for core stability.
And then there's the person who's been in pain for years, who's seen the who's who of doctors, chiros, PTs, massage therapists, personal trainers, who've seen 10 different providers and got 10 different answers as to why they hurt, and just doesn't know where to start. Interestingly enough, this is actually the easiest to answer as to whether or not it's safe to exercise. The simple answer is yes. The take-home message for you, if you've been in pain for years, even if you've had an MRI showing 5 bulging discs or your knees are bone on bone, is that motion is lotion for your joints. Your job is to start small. How small? Most people who have been in pain for years know that if they go and hit the treadmill for 30 minutes, they're going to suffer. If they try to clean the whole house, they're going to be in bed for days. Your job is to first set that goal. What is it that you really want to be able to do? Maybe it's just walk on the beach with your spouse or kids or grandkids for half an hour, but where to start? If you know how much you have to do before you fire things up, say walking 15 minutes is enough to put you in bed for days, then we want to start looking at maybe 5 minutes. So we're walking 2.5 minutes away from home and 2.5 minutes back. And then we're going to add 1 minute for every 3 to 4 walks. The key here is to poke the pain bear, but don't jump on for a ride. We want to just brush against the discomfort and then back off. The good news is that by now things have healed in your body. And your body is a really good self-healer. For whatever reason, you are the 1 in 4 people who move into a long-term pain just because your nervous system won't calm down. For each of the 3 people that I talked about today, they each have a different starting point. And sometimes it's hard to figure out where to start. That's why here at Body Mechanix in Tallahassee, I offer an absolutely free discovery visit. This is your chance to get your questions answered and to figure out where you should start. Maybe you need some hands-on care to calm your system down, just to be able to move. Maybe you need some pain-relieving exercises, and yes, they do exist. Or approach that finds out why you injured yourself, and a coach who can guide you back to your sport, your recreational activity, or whatever it is that you want to do. To request your free discovery visit, or any one of my ebooks, or just a telephone consult or free info, stop by TallahasseePT.com. Follow me on Black Belt Physio on Facebook and Instagram, and thanks for watching.